It's a video of how CBS is covering. I mean, they just repeat whatever Trump wants them to repeat. They just repeat it. Here, you want to see it? Here it is. Here's the CBS News report.
Begin with this. U.S. officials are blaming Iran for an attack on Saudi Arabia, but President Trump does seem to be lowering any expectations of a U.S. military response. The president told supporters in New Mexico last night not to panic about oil supplies after the unprecedented attack on Saudi oil facilities. Now, earlier he said,
how is it that Trump is the voice of reason in this situation? How is it that he's the one? You got every other jagoff news person in the world going, we should worry about our Saudi the oil supply. And Trump is the guy to say, don't worry about the oil supply. Trump is the guy?
that he is weighing his options one day after tweeting that the U.S. is, in his words, locked and loaded.
Sources tell CBS News many of the projectiles involved in the weekend attack were fired from Iranian territory.
Again, no evidence. They just repeat it. They just repeat it as true. They just report it as a fact. They don't say, no, of course, these are confirmed liars. They do this all the time. They lie us into wars. Like, they don't say not one skeptical word from these motherfuckers. Not one.
Involved in the weekend attack were fired from Iranian territory. They say at least one missile passed through airspace over Kuwait, a U.S. ally. Weijia Zhang is at the White House. Weijia, how close is the president?
We have absolutely no evidence. We just have what that guy said that I'm going to report as fact. And I look like I'm a serious news guy. You wouldn't think I'm a tool unless you actually pay attention and you know that I'm a bought and paid for tool of the military industrial complex. But I look serious. Look how serious he looks. Yeah. You see how serious he looks? He looks like a serious person instead of what he is, a paid for and bought fucking tool, which is what he is. And so is she. That's how they got the jobs, baby. They've been groomed for these jobs since they were in kindergarten.
To making a decision.
Good morning, Anthony. President Trump is not committing to any time frame, but he announced a team led by Secretary of State Mike Pompeo will head to Saudi Arabia, and the U.S. is talking to its neighbors in the region as he decides how to respond. And as Gail just pointed out, yesterday we were right here talking about the president using tough language, military action, but now he is pumping the brakes.
Today, we got a lot of oil, we got a lot of gas.
President Trump downplayed concerns about oil and gas prices while campaigning in New Mexico.
You know, a few years ago, if we had a problem like you saw 2 days ago in the Middle East, we would have been in a panic. Although not if I were your president, we never panic.
Earlier in the day, the president stopped short of blaming Iran for the attacks on 2 Saudi oil plants, but indicated it was likely Iran.
We want to find definitively who did this. Certainly it would look to most like it was Iran.
The president's secretaries of state and defense have both blamed Tehran in tweets, and CBS News has learned U.S. intel officials believe Iran was behind the attack.
CBS News has learned. Oh, they learned a fact? No, they didn't. They didn't learn anything. Do you see the language she uses? CBS News has learned from intelligence officials. Okay, here's how they should report that. CBS News was told a bunch of bullshit propaganda from some CIA spies who have lied us into every fucking war. Do you see how they breathlessly report it as fucking fact? We learned something. You mean you were given propaganda by a CIA fuckface? That's what you mean by learned? You were given propaganda to then go ahead and repeat on your news show as if you learned it. They make it sound like we investigate. Well, we figured this out. We learned it. Listen to this bullshit. And by the way, at no point does she say, I guess for Trump, who's being controlled by Putin, we're just going to let him bomb Iran. At no point he says, by the way, we've been reporting for 3 years that he's working for Vladimir Putin, this guy who we now want to bomb another country.
You know, Jimmy, I just saw this tweet by Mark Esper, Secretary of Defense. I'm not familiar with him, but his last line says, defend the international rules-based order that is being undermined by Iran. You know, the international rules-based order.
Or, you know, the ones where we get to invade Syria, Afghanistan, and Iraq, and Libya. You mean that international rule and order where we can kill 1 million people in Iraq for bullshit? You mean that order?
This is the face of a guy who's okay with atrocities.
That's right.
Look at that. Look at that.
He looks like
Squeaky
a nice guy.
clean.
Squeaky clean guy who's actually a murdering psychopath.
I just want you to know, like a lot of times, you know, on the evening news, they'll show you a minority who's just shoplifted from CBS, who's done nothing to the community or society. Right. This is the guy. This is the danger.
This is the guy who wants to kill millions of people. That's the guy.
Tweets. And CBS News has learned U.S. intel officials...
CBS News has learned that U.S. intel officials, who are always full of shit, are saying some more bullshit.
Iran was behind the attack. A Saudi Arabian military spokesman said the weapons are Iranian.
Guess who? Guess what's? And now they have a spokesperson from Saudi Arabia. You know who they don't have? They don't have me on there to debunk their bullshit. They don't have a peace activist. They don't have fucking Code Pink on there. They don't have anybody offering you a counter narrative to the fucking government. They have no one offering you a counter narrative. They're repeating what the government says as fact. That's fake news. And if Google and YouTube want to shut down fucking fake news, this CBS is where they should start. And then they should go to CNN and then MSNBC, the Washington Post, and the New York Times. Give me fucking shit about fake news. We're all worried about fucking fake news. Fake news comes from CBS, the Washington Post, and the New York Times every goddamn day. There's your fucking fake news. About war. Not about a meme where Bernie's arm wrestling.
It was unclear where the attack originated. As far as
said it was unclear where the attack originated. That's Saudi Arabia saying that. Don't know where the attack originated, but we're sure it's Iran. But where'd it come from?
You know, the best part of this story is Donald Trump trying to avoid war.
Trump. That's what I'm saying. How the hell is Donald Trump the guy?
Once everything seems to be on the table. On the one hand, the president practiced restraint.
I don't want war with anybody. I'm somebody that would like not to have war.
On the other, keeping the possibility of using military action open, even suggesting a lethal retaliatory strike would be a proportional response.
I'm not looking to get into new conflict, but sometimes you have to.
This was a very significant attack.
Former CIA acting director Michael Morrell says the U.S. may have little choice.
They go to this again. Why don't you go to Medea Benjamin? Why don't you go to Ralph Nader? Why don't you go to Michael Moore? Why don't you go to Tulsi Gabbard? Why don't you go to Tulsi Gabbard? Why don't you come to me? You go to this fucking douchebag? Are you shitting me? It's one douchebag after another.
And it's not only Iran that's under pressure here, but they can put pressure back on us. We have to deter them.
On Capitol Hill, House Speaker Nancy Pelosi has requested a briefing for all House members on the bombings, with Democrats urging caution on next steps.
I don't think we need to be the protector of Saudi Arabia.
Since when, Tim? Since fucking when? First of all, I'm glad you feel that way now. When did you feel that way before? Isn't that weird? That we don't have to be the... Really? Wow, good to hear. Good to hear he's saying that.
United Nations inspectors have traveled to Saudi Arabia already to investigate while the U.S. works on declassifying information to share. Meanwhile, Iran continues to deny involvement. Tony, today its supreme leader said there will be no talks with the U.S. on any level.
Weijia Zhang at the White House. Weijia, thank you very much.
Weijia, thank you very much for repeating exactly what the government wanted you to say. I appreciate that, the way you repeated it like a stenographer without any skepticism at all, and you didn't even bring anybody who had a counter-narrative to the governments. I think that was great reporting. Thank you. I bet you're going to get a raise. You'll be able to buy another $5,000 jacket.
I'm surprised they didn't say 17 intel agencies.
Yeah, why didn't they say 17 intel agencies? All agreed. Do you see why I have no interest in being in a club of fucking journalists? Because they're not fucking journalists. That's why. They're all career climbing bullshitters who repeat exactly what their fucking bosses want them to say. That's what this is. The only thing they didn't do in this is they didn't bring on a guy from Raytheon and not tell you he's from Raytheon. That's the only thing. But they're all from Raytheon. That's the whole thing. They're all bought and paid for by the military-industrial complex and big oil. So here is the saving grace from this video. So I went to this video at CBS's YouTube channel. You can see I got it from YouTube. And I was like, well, I wonder what regular people think about this news report.
Yeah, I do too.
So I went and I looked at the comments. I'm like, what are people who are going to CBS News' video to watch CBS News' account of the Saudi bombing and blaming Iran for? What are regular people who go to CBS News' YouTube channel? What do they think? Because you don't know what people at home watching are thinking, but what do people at YouTube? So here's what I found. And I'm going to give you, this is every comment in a row. Okay? This is not, I didn't pick and choose. These are in order of how they come up in YouTube. You got me on this, right? So I didn't have to cherry pick. I didn't go around. I didn't skip a few. These are every comment in order underneath this video at CBS. The first comment says, total BS. We are being lied to just like we were with Iraq. 111 thumbs up. The next one is not our responsibility to police the world. 118 thumbs up. That's the first two comments under CBS News' bullshit war report. Here's the next two. Fired from Iran. Sources say, yes, the same sources that said Iraq had weapons of mass destruction. Same sources that said the Gulf of Tonkin was 100% the fault of the North Vietnamese. That's the third comment underneath that video. 90 likes. CBS trying desperately to get us to hate Iran for Israel's sake. Sigh. That's the fourth comment.
Wow.
The fifth comment is, this was started because the Yemen people are being massacred by Saudis. It's wild that this isn't being talked about. School, hospital, home bombings. That's the fifth comment. The sixth comment is, the rich create wars and the poor fight and die in those wars. That's the sixth comment. The seventh comment is, when they say sources say, I hear we're making this shit up. The seventh comment, 15 of the 19 hijackers were from Saudi Arabia. The ninth comment, CBS sources are bloodthirsty CIA war pigs. I believe Iran. The 10th comment, bunch of BS, man. Ever notice this kind of stuff always happens right before elections? The 11th comment, let Saudi fight their own wars. It's not our job to fight them. The 12th, Saudi Arabia have enough money to protect themselves. Why do we need to fight their fight? The 14th comment, that's Saudi's issue. Let them retaliate with millions of dollars in weapons we sold them. The 15th, let the Saudis do their own fighting. Remember, they dismembered an American journalist. The 16th comment, I'm having flashbacks to the Gulf of Tonkin incident. Anyone else? The 17th, I say U.S. arms manufacturers like Lockheed Martin, Boeing, and BAE are drooling from the mouth at the thought of a war with Iran. Just think of all the money and of ordnance they dropped on military targets. The 19th comment, yes, do not send any troops to help out. Let them fight it out themselves. The 20th comment, attack on Saudi Arabia includes projectiles fired from Iranian territory. Sources say. Then show us some proof. Who are the sources? If the U.S. is able to show HQ satellite images on unsuccessful launch by, and then that's so, every comment underneath CBS News. And that's not fake news. And that is not demonetized, and that's not taken down. That's a fucking bullshit news report. 100% pro-war propaganda. And that's not fake news. That's not taken down. They don't get it. Nothing. No one calls them conspiracy theorists and all they're doing is repeating lies from the government. If you repeat lies from the government, you get a job at CBS News. Hey everybody, we're doing a live show every Sunday in October in Hollywood, California at the Sycamore Tavern. Go to jimmydorecomedy.com for a link for tickets and become a patron. We give you hours of bonus material every month. Become a premium member. Go to jimmydorecomedy.com and sign up. Thanks for your support.